We're live. We're live, and Valentina's tired, so we gotta hurry up here.
Tired.
My Bloody Valentina, Evil Ed, Anthony versus Evil Dead post show. Real quick, this is for the regular YouTube channel with like 18 subscribers, but we're gonna build that right back up. And we just finished episode 85. We talked about Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. That's my VHS right there. What I bought with my own money when I was a kid. And we're talking about Frankenstein here, and Frankenstein's monster in particular. And after watching Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and somewhat Son of Frankenstein, there's still a really great emotional moment in there. That Frankenstein is a lot different from what pop culture tells us about Frankenstein nowadays. And do you think that there's a disservice to today's audience to think that Frankenstein is just not only this look here, but that he is basically a blind zombie that can't see anything, as kind of a bumbling idiot, where he's kind of portrayed in the last movie we just talked about, the entire series, and kind of in Abbott Costello Meets Frankenstein. And there are other versions of it that's closer to the book, like Robert De Niro's version and Penny Dreadful's version.
Yeah, I think that's the most accurate one because he does become smart in the books.
Yeah, and well read and all that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is the version of the monster that everybody knows. And as far as the look, yes, the flat top and all that. But I just think that it really does a disservice to the character, because there's so much that the character means. And I just don't think that modern audiences know about it, because they just think it's like a stupid horror movie or a stupid character that, walks around like, oh, like I just did Abbott Costello there, where he's trying to explain. He's like, one guy, he walked like this. But yeah, so, and I think Valentina, when we talked about the original Frankenstein movies, that the kind of connection or possibly reading into it as he's kind of like an artistic, someone that suffers from autism. And I think Valentina, if you can just elaborate on that. And what do you think? Do you think that the fact that so many people aren't aware of the original three films kind of does a disservice to the character, from being a relatively serious character to kind of being a joke character nowadays?
So I said this a long time ago, so my analogy probably to this is on an old podcast. I think he reminds me of autistic people who are, I don't know, there's different levels of autism. So like, think about it in that light. And he's just childlike, and he's learning how to be, and he's very like, he just wants to be loved, I feel like. And in the first film, everyone's just like, no, you're a monster, you're ugly, you're this, you're a freak, you're weird. And the little girl sees him as like human-like, because obviously he's not human-like if he's a dead corpse that came alive again. And so that's why I said he's very much like that, because I feel like some people get very uncomfortable around autistic people sometimes, or they react in a certain way that's not the right way to be with autistic people. And children are usually more accepting of people who are not deemed as normal. And I think it is a disservice, just because you see his progression in the first movie to the second movie, and then now these movies, he's just there. And it's very unfortunate, because like I said, you see progression from the second movie, and you see him growing as a character and as a person. And then like, oh, now like this movie, he's just in it. Like, he's blind, and he's just aggressive and mean, which of course would happen if people keep trying to fucking kill you. But it just, it just loses the special factor of the Frankenstein monster, and he just becomes a normal, run of the mill zombie, pretty much.
Yeah, I think I agree. Now, I'm not saying like I think like the movie we just watched did a huge disservice to the character, and everything past Son of Frankenstein pretty much does a disservice to the character when it comes to Universal monsters. I'm not saying like characters like Herman and stuff can't happen, or having a comedic way of doing it, or like Hotel Transylvania. I assume there's a Frankenstein monster in that,
Yeah.
but like that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like I think the original character can mean a lot more as either like being more compassionate, being more understanding, not just like throwing people by the wayside. Because when rewatching all these films throughout the past year, it's like every time this guy gets a friend, he gets fucked over. And it's like he's a really sad character within these films. And then obviously the other versions like Robert De Niro's, which was much more monster like. In Penny Dreadful, he's much more human. Yes, he rips a person in half in that but later past that scene, it's very much like the book, and he has real human connections, but his afflictions, I guess you would say, which would be undead, and being a cadaver that's been put together with multiple parts from different people, really hinders the kind of like overall what I think this character could be a symbol of, instead of just being a giant green zombie. Ed, you have anything to add to this?
Well, I think you can. I mean, I agree with you guys, but I think you can take it a different way as well. Like, yeah, you have them in the service, but there's also like a different version for everyone, kind of. That you can choose to just like Karloff, or Penny Dreadful, which is, like I said, the most accurate, or you can like the mindless green zombie, or Herman, or Hotel Transylvania. So I think, even though it's like been watered down, I think it shows like the staying power this character has. Because even when I was a kid, I didn't even know what horror movies were. I knew what Frankenstein was.
Yeah.
The look. So, like, I do agree. He's meant to be much more, but there's so many different versions. You can kind of just pick the one that you like and view him as your true monster or whatever.
Yeah, but I definitely see your point, and I think that's a really good point to say that there's a different version for everyone. But I just feel like for today's audience, they wouldn't really be interested in going back and finding how the character was supposed to be originally, as far as when it comes from the film. They know the original look clearly. They make these masks and toys and stuff, and they all practically have the same exact look, right? Which is Jack Pierce's mind and what he designed on Boris Karloff. But what was behind this look is just kind of lost for modern audiences, to not see it just as a joke, or just as a thing for kids, or a stupid horror movie character look. And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think the issue is, I think you can like the zombie monster, but what is there to like about that? You can like a zombie then at that point. I guess I get like the aesthetic, of course, is going to be looked at. Like even the Bride of Frankenstein, I don't really care for that character, but the character is so iconic because everyone loves it, and it's an aesthetic thing, which is great. But like the people liked Frankenstein for a reason, because there was that character, and then now like no one brings it up again, and all it is an easy, because it's like putting a mirror on society, right? Like the guy who is kind of one way, slowly becoming its way, and society has to accept it. So it's like, no, I take the mirror away. He's just a stupid become zombie.
Well,
I think it genuinely was super disservice to the character.
Well, I think you're right. I would agree. It's just like for me, I think for me it'd be if I had like a kid or something, and I would like them to kind of see if they would like horror. These are the kind of movies I would let them watch first. They're in black and white. They're not too hard to understand. They're not scary for the time or whatever. At least I don't think a kid would be scared of this nowadays. But it's just like I'm like so afraid of these characters' identities being lost nowadays that it's like it's sad. Like I don't have any stock in these fucking characters, or I don't own anything from them or anything like that. But it's just like it's really sad to see what the vision of these characters were as a personality get lost, because the look of them is still to this day. If you show them a picture of or a mask or something, they'll say like, "Oh, that's a werewolf," or "That's Frankenstein," or whatever, Dracula. But like the actual personalities of these characters that were done by Boris Karloff and Lon Chaney Jr. and Bela Lugosi and Claude Rains and so forth. It's just like really
something. Didn't we discuss it? They were like putting the movies on YouTube or something.
Yeah, it is. Frankenstein
is it on? Is it?
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it when I went to look at our video to see if anyone was commenting, and it came up
as far as I know, right now, as far as streaming services, Peacock has some of these films. I don't think they have all of them, like the ones we just talked about today, but they have like Frankenstein and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that, if you have kids and you'd like to introduce them to horror, I think these are the perfect movies. And hopefully within our lifetimes, at least for me, I just think it'd be really sad as far as entertainment to lose these characters to time and all that, just because they're in black and white or they don't have X amount of fight scenes and all that. Because some of these have great emotional performances and or like good dialogue. Not saying all of them. They are B movies, but if they came out in the 30s and early like before 42, you're more than safe to watch these and see what I'm talking about. Anybody else want to add anything?
No, I agree with what you're saying, because especially now, the more they remake these things and like shy away from the original source material, even though like the Universal monsters aren't the original source material, but like they get away from that, it'll be, people start identifying with them as like whatever Frankenstein is out now, or Ryan Gosling's Wolfman and stuff,
Yeah. All right. Well, we're so close to Halloween. I can is that on your phone?
Yeah.
Is it free?
It says to buy or rent.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, Halloween's really close. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of my favorite time of year because we get Halloween, then we get Christmas and all that, and there's plenty of great horror and Christmas as well. But this year for Halloween, we're doing
the horror of retail.
Huh? What'd you say?
I said the horror of retail.
Oh, right. Well, for some of us, we're doing Halloween H2O as the main Halloween episode. Yes, so Jamie Lee Curtis, she returned one of her many times.
I saw that in theaters. That was
Did you?
That was the first Halloween movie I ever saw, and that was the one I saw.
You saw that in '96? Was that when it came out? '98?
Yeah.
Wow. Who took you? Were you scared?
The one that we saw. Whatever the hell.
My best friend convinced our parents to take us, and I was like, yeah. And then when she walked away, I was like, we are not fucking going to see that. Like I was still scared. I couldn't even see the trailer. I would like run away.
Yeah, but it's not even the real Michael.
I didn't know that then.
They didn't know that then.
Yeah.
It took them like 5 years to figure that out. All right, so thank you for listening to the post show of this. We had an interesting discussion. Thank you, Valentina. Thank you, Ed, for joining us. once again, and we'll see you next week with Abbott Costello meets Frankenstein.